Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of I See Bad Movies, Season 6, Episode 5. In fact...
Episode 5 already.
Episode 5 already. I'm one of your hosts, Dave Keane, and I'm joined by the ultimate superior Emma Spicer.
Ultimate Superior?
They're all names of Spider-Man. Ultimate Spider-Man, Superior
okay.
Spider-Man. So I've gone with those for you today. Although I think I've gone with Ultimate before for you.
Have you?
Maybe. Ultimate pain in the ass.
You normally try to do E words, but
I do. I've run out. There's no E words for superheroes.
No.
It just doesn't exist. Faster than an eagle. No one says that.
No.
But wait. Eyes of the Hawk. Yeah. That was Marshall Bravestar, if you remember that.
Oh, Bravestar, yeah.
Yeah. Love that. Anyway, Emma, do you want to tell our lovely listeners the movie that we're watching today?
We're watching, yeah. They're going to listen to this and we're going to watch the movie. If we just listen to the movie, we miss a lot. So, we are, I don't even want to do this, but we are watching Daredevil with Ben Affleck.
Oh, yes.
And is it Jennifer Garner in it as well?
Jennifer Garner's in it,
yes. Am I right in thinking this is the movie they met on?
I think it must be.
I think he was engaged to Jennifer Lopez.
Oh.
And she was dating somebody else. That's what I've heard. And do you know what? The only reason I know this...
Oh,
go
on.
Pure coincidence earlier today. You know how I love a bit of TikTok.
Yeah, go.
I was on TikTok earlier and this video popped up that was talking about the whole feud between Jennifer Lopez and Jennifer Garner, apparently, that's happening now, which I know you're loving, the drama.
I'm loving the drama.
And it popped up about that, and it said they met on the set of Daredevil, but Jennifer Garner was dating, I can't remember who, somebody else, and Ben Affleck was engaged to Jennifer Lopez. And I was like, wow, we're reviewing that movie tonight. How weird that's popped up.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then apparently they got together like a year later or so. So they ditched their other halves by then.
Yeah.
And
that's really interesting.
So he actually met her and obviously quite liked her when he was engaged to Jennifer Lopez the first time.
Oh, I didn't know any of that.
Well, I didn't know that because that video that popped up earlier, and it was just pure coincidence. So I was just scrolling and I was like, oh, this is weird. They're talking about Daredevil and we're...
I assumed that this was the film that Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck met on,
Yeah.
But I didn't realise, I didn't put the timeline together that it was with J-Lo at the time.
And she was dating I can't remember who it was, but she was dating somebody else as well. So whether they left those partners because they liked each other, or whether it was just they happened to break up and then see each other again, I don't know. But I bet... so I wonder if Jennifer Lopez has always had it a little bit in for Jennifer Garner because she was with Ben Affleck when they met, and then before you know it, she's... Not that she didn't they didn't have an affair, but...
Jennifer Lopez is wanting Jenny on the chopping block.
Yeah.
That was dreadful.
That
was really bad. We won't, but
we could do.
We could do if we wanted to. But everyone knows my jokes are bad, so we'll leave it in. We'll leave it in because I would feel bad depriving the one person that laughs at that.
Yeah.
The one person being me when I'm editing it.
There might be two now because we've got a new.
Oh, I know. Yes.
Subscriber.
We do. Where? My goodness! Literally on my drive here to you.
Yes.
We've had a Patreon subscriber. Emma, would you like to say hello to?
No, I don't because...
You forgot in the name.
It's Amber.
It is Amber.
What's Amber's surname?
Sounds like Simpson.
It wasn't.
But it's not. It's Sampson.
Was it Sampson?
Amber Sampson. Yeah. Oh. Hello, Amber Sampson.
Hi, Amber.
Thank you very much for signing up to our Patreon.
Yes.
You've got 35 different episodes of things to listen to on the Patreon at the moment.
That's quite a lot to get through.
Yeah, it is a lot to get through. All of our backlog of the flip sides, all of our bad movies with kids, with Brody, Emma's son. Loads to catch up on. So hope you enjoy it. And if anybody else is interested in the Patreon, come along. www.com.
You have to start with www. Have you seen Gavin and Stacey?
www.
Stands for
www.patreon.com/I See Bad Movies. Come along. and join Amber and others.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
I know.
Very
We're
excited.
excited about the Jennifer feud, and we got another patron. I mean, we just need a hat trick now. You need one more thing to happen.
Well, I put money on the lottery tonight.
Oh, well, that's it then.
So
lottery.
that's it. Perfect. Cool, 148 million?
Yeah, do, wouldn't it?
Easy.
And we can either ditch the podcast or just record it from our yacht.
Yeah, record it from the yacht.
Our yacht. It's obviously if you win
It's
big.
the Icy Bad Movies yacht.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to call it Icy Bad Movies.
Yeah, we only have that yacht to watch movies on.
Yeah.
We don't sail it around. That'd be ludicrous.
Oh no, that's been far too expensive.
Yeah.
Just keeping it.
Yeah.
Would be really expensive.
It's just in a marina.
Yeah. I think marina costs are pretty high, aren't they?
I rent it out as a cinema.
Party boat. You
You
could rent it out to a load of drunk youngsters and they'll wreck it within seconds.
Yeah, but I'll have the money to go after them litigiously.
Yeah.
Right. Shall I read out the synopsis of this film?
Yes.
Okay. So, where are we? Okay. Fate deals young orphan Matt Murdock a strange hand when he is doused with hazardous waste. The accident leaves Matt blind, but also gives him a heightened radar sense that allows him to see far better than any man. Years later, Murdock has grown into a man and becomes a respected criminal attorney. But after he's done his day job, Matt takes on a secret identity as the man without fear, Daredevil, the masked avenger that patrols the neighbourhood of Hell's Kitchen and New York City to combat the injustice that he cannot tackle in the courtroom.
Right, wait, I just realised that I think I possibly might have tried watching this at the time when it came out.
Oh, interesting.
But I don't think I made it all the way through. And
Fair.
I've completely forgotten that he was blind. Is he blind or can he see?
He's blind, but he's got like a radar sense. So if you
so he's got
tap something,
I see.
the radar lets him see his surroundings kind of thing.
Okay.
And it's like he can hear heartbeats and tell if people are lying and all sorts.
Superhero, it's not, you kind of want all your senses about if you're going to be a superhero, don't you?
I mean,
it's kind of
it would help.
Yeah.
But then Iron Man doesn't have the sense of touch, I suppose, because he's in an iron suit, isn't he? So he's missing that.
Yeah, but you can see in here.
Yeah, you can see in here.
The essential ones, isn't it? Of like, if you're a superhero.
I wonder what it'd be like smelling inside the Iron Man suit.
Probably not great.
Not great, is it?
No.
Ooh. But I think Daredevil is one of those sorts of superheroes that adds to that kind of myth of, if you lose a sense, the other ones heighten to, which probably isn't true.
I don't think it is.
I don't think it's true. I think it's just you can focus on them more rather than...
Yeah, I was going to say, you're probably more focused on your hearing if you're blind and vice versa. Yeah.
Right, shall we toss the coin, Emma?
Yes.
That was a good one.
I'm hoping it's bad because I think we're going to struggle with anything good in this movie.
Oh, it's good. I'm
again.
afraid it's good again.
Time,
we did. I know. But we still got a decent episode out of Catwoman.
Yeah, I think we possibly talked about it.
It's the only good thing that came out of Catwoman was an episode of ours. That was it. All right, and it's your turn to pick our category. So let me fan the cards out for you now. Okay. There you go.
Got two.
Oh. Well, you'll have to pick 5.
Accent. I don't know if there are any accents in
Well,
this,
it's based in Hell's Kitchen, New York. New York.
Line. That might be quite a good one.
It could be. Hey, I'm superhero in here. Sorry.
Music.
Music.
I'm picking out the worst
ones. You are picking out the worst ones. Come on, redeem yourself. Come on.
Scene.
Okay.
That's okay.
That is okay. I can already think of a terrible scene already.
An actor. Wow.
Well.
Ben Affleck's in it, so.
Ben Affleck's in it, yeah. Right. So we've got scene, accent, line, and music.
Yes.
All we have to do now is go and watch Daredevil, Emma.
You say all we have to do, like
all we have to do.
It's over 2 hours long.
Oh God, why have we done this to ourselves?
We always love it if a movie's like an hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes. We're like, yes.
Yeah, what's happened to those?
They've gone.
Really bloated superhero films.
This is the trouble when you watch some of the more mainstream movies. So when we watch the really low budget things, they tend to be
an hour long,
scraping for an hour, don't
they? Yeah, because they've run out of money.
Yeah, and so that's when we get the really long drawn out scenes or loads of talking or like just sometimes even just stock images of stock video or something because they're just trying to fill time.
Yeah, I mean, like, can you remember all the stock footage in Neil Breen movies?
Yeah.
I mean, what
And
the
it
hell?
doesn't even make sense to the story. It's just like, let's just show this for a bit to waste a few minutes.
And then let's have half an hour of flying through the clouds.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
I know. Whereas the bigger budget movies do tend to be about 2 hours, don't they? Sort of.
Oh, that was quite funny, right? I've been watching a TV show recently. I've been binging it, Criminal Minds.
Okay.
And there was a... So, have you ever seen it?
I think I have. It
So
definitely sounds familiar.
They're a behavioural analysis unit that work for the FBI.
Yeah.
And they go around...
Oh, is it a different story each time?
Yeah,
Stuff's
investigating
different?
murders,
I
serial
have
killers,
seen.
serial killings, that kind of thing. And they were going to investigate a murder in a small Mexican town.
Yeah.
And literally, they told you they were in Mexico, not just because they were in like...
They just have a big sign saying Mexico.
Mexico this way.
They do that
No.
sometimes in movies, don't they?
They just literally cut to some stock footage of Mexican people. I was like, what the hell? And then they did all these scenes with... I mean, they were in... Probably, I imagine they were filming in New Mexico or something, or somewhere like that, you know, not in Mexico. But they had a lot of Mexican and Hispanic people in the cast and that. Why are they having to bother using stock footage to say they're in Mexico?
I don't know.
Very
but
strange.
Indiana Jones is one that pops into my head.
Oh, aye.
Where they have just like, they'll just show a sign, and on one of them, I can't remember where it was. One of the Indiana Jones movies, they're on the bike and they're on this road, and there's a sign that says Berlin, and somewhere nowhere near Berlin the other way. Like it's literally, you know, like when you get a sign where it's like one town this way, one town that way, that are close, that are next to each other.
It's in The Last Crusade, I think, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah,
I don't know what
I think
other
it is.
city it is, but it's Berlin, I think. And then it's another city that is nowhere near Berlin. But as if you'd have a sign like that, it was just ridiculous. But that's how they tell you like where they're going. Or they do the map, don't they?
The map
They
in Indiana Jones with the red lines.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. That's classic. That is classic. I love that.
Yeah.
Anyway, this isn't getting us watching Daredevil anytime soon. I know you're trying to
But
avoid
we need
it,
to start and get it over with.
but
so,
it means finishing the film before midnight.
Yeah.
So that's the
It
key.
should be amazing.
All right, let's do it. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, welcome back, Emma.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
Oh.
was an experience.
I think at one point I turned to you and said, "It's just soulless."
It's just so boring.
Yeah. There's
And
nothing.
we've watched some shit movies, and this
We have.
was just... What surprises me is when it's a superhero movie,
Yeah.
there's no way it should be boring.
No, it shouldn't
There
be.
should be so much going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was bored for a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a short film, is it?
No, it's not. And I sometimes think to myself, you know what? I mean, I read comic books. And like over 6 episodes, 6 issues of a comic book, you can get like a whole story from start to finish, done and dusted. A
Yeah.
whole story arc. And if you took that panel by panel and shot that, it'd be maximum an hour.
Yeah.
But we sat and watched 2 hours worth of Daredevil,
Yes.
and there was no urgency.
There wasn't enough storyline for 2 hours, was
There
there?
wasn't enough storyline for 2 hours. We had like stupid stuff thrown in as well, and it was just like, oh really? I just get to the end, and it took a long time getting there.
It really did.
So, shall we run through a bit of the synopsis of the movie, talk about some of the bits during that, and then we'll get onto our topics. Remember, our topics are accent, actor, music, scene, and line as well. So, it might be a short one. Oh, God.
It might be, yeah.
So, the movie starts out, and we've got Ben Affleck as Daredevil, draped over some church iconography. You know, he's draped over like a statue, and his blood's dripping down a stained glass window. And then the next thing we see his body crashing down in front of the altar, and we get a little bit of a voiceover, don't we?
Yes.
About It's true, like how life flashes before your eyes. Your life
Yes.
flashes before your eyes before you die. And it's like...
Oh, yes.
And that's true of blind people too. Okay, I suppose, fine. But that takes us back into the early days. So we see a young Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
His dad as well. I can't remember his dad's name, but something Murdoch, I imagine.
Yeah.
And Matt's really clever, but his dad's a fighter, a boxer.
Yes.
But he's a retired boxer, and it turns out he's actually an enforcer for someone in the mob. And Matt sees him doing this one night, and Matt gets upset with him, and they have like a little heart-to-heart, and the dad decides, I'm giving up the enforcing stuff, I'm going back to being a boxer.
Yeah.
Running around the ring like Milo's running around the kitchen.
Milo has just been let out for a wee.
And
I'm
now he's
not sure
acting
he
like...
actually went for one. I
I bet he
might have
didn't.
just
It was a
barked.
phantom wee, wasn't it?
I think he just barked and then came back in.
Okay, everybody had their wheeze now?
Everyone's had their ways.
Everyone's had their
Although
wheeze.
I'm drinking wine tonight, so I might need one.
Oh, and it was very nice. I had a little glass too, so it was...
Birthday wine.
it's your birthday wine, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was, yeah. I've only just got to drinking it.
Still celebrating that birthday?
Yeah.
Why the hell not?
Takes longer at this age.
I'm not singing the song.
No.
I'm not singing happy birthday to
I
you.
wouldn't expect you to.
No, I'm definitely not. I left a pause there, making people think, is he? I say that, but that pause is probably going to get cut out by the software that I use.
Yeah.
If there was no pause there, imagine there was a pause. So, Matt Murdock's dad decides to become a boxer again.
Yes.
Okay. And he starts winning fights, and he gets up to a big fight ready to go. He's going to face like the champion or whatever, local champ, whatever it is. And he gets met by a crime boss, the guy that he was a enforcer for. And he says, no, sorry, by this, apologies. They don't have a heart-to-heart. When Matt sees him being an enforcer and beating someone up for the crime boss, he runs away. Very important plot point, this one.
Yeah.
This is where he runs away and ends up getting the toxic waste in his eyes.
Oh, yes.
Because that's just, the whole thing about Daredevil is
Well, it's not a superhero movie without toxic waste, is it?
well, not in, toxic waste or toxic beauty products or toxic spaghetti
Yeah.
in this season. And that's about it, isn't
Yeah.
it? Toxic waste is in there twice, though. So,
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I'm tempted to find the nearest toxic waste dump.
Have you ever, come into contact with toxic waste in your life?
A few relationships here or there.
Yeah, me too. One we were just talking about.
Hey, hence the wine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was a tough week last week.
And so how could I forget that? So they have that. Matt wakes up in the hospital. He's blind now, but he's hearing things and he's really freaked out because everything's so loud. And that's kind of his superpowers. He's still seeing the world through this radar sight that he
he's got the radar thing. So if it's raining, or is it just rain that does it? Or...
It's any sort of vibration. On it sends out more sort of radar, and that bounces off the surface. So he sees
like a weird kind of... It's like a blue...
Yeah, he sees the world as like an echo, like a bat kind of thing, or I don't know. I wouldn't say
almost like a negative.
Yeah, he sees it in negative. Yes.
Yeah, it's like that.
That's
isn't
a good way to say it.
Yeah.
And that's definitely the kind of thing that they use to visualize it.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is too bad. That was actually quite all right.
Yeah.
And I thought it looked quite.
It looks okay. Yeah.
Good for 2003, I think it was.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to knock it for that. But yeah, I mean, this is the really important part. I nearly just
just skipped over.
I know. I was just thinking, does his dad die and then? Oh, spoiler, by the way. Does his dad die and then he gets blind? No, he's blind before that. So he sees his dad. He's got this big fight coming up. He's blind. Matt's blind, etc. There we go. We're back. And the crime boss, can't remember his name, but it's immaterial, says, you're going to throw this fight in the second round.
Yes.
Right? Because, I've been basically arranging all these fights for you. You've not won them. I've made you win them, basically. So the dad's there. He's having his fight. He goes down in the second round. Matt knows that he's gone down. And he's like, come on, Dad, you can do it.
Yeah.
And something switches in Mr. Murdoch's head where he's like, you know what? No, I'm not going down for this. He gets up, wins the fight. Should not have done. You can see the crime boss is not happy about this. Anyway, after the fight, Mr. Murdoch gets his lights put out for him. He's dead. Matt, very upset, crying, as you would. But we see a red rose be placed on Mr. Murdoch's body.
Oh, yes.
And that red rose is very important for later in the movie.
Yeah.
Very important. Do not forget the red rose. Now, this cuts back to what is modern day New York, Hell's Kitchen. And I don't know, he says Hell's Kitchen is called something else nowadays, but I can't remember what it's called. I always thought it was Tribeca was what the new name for Hell's Kitchen was.
I don't know.
But I don't think it is anymore. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's Manhattan, New York, but it's
New York.
New York. There's quite a few of those accents in there.
Yeah. In
this movie, an awful lot of them. But yeah, they're based in Hell's Kitchen, and this is where the movie doesn't really have much direction.
Not
at
much,
some
not
points,
at all.
yeah, at some points you think Matt's life, he's very broody, very, he's a bit of a mess of a man.
Yeah.
But then at other points he seems really got it together.
Yeah, that's
with
true.
his friend Froggy, and I think there's no real character there. There's
no.
And I understand, like you've got like Batman, Bruce Wayne's like the international
Did I
playboy.
say that to you when we were watching it, that you normally in a movie you warm to the main character. Well, you either warm to the main character,
yes, you did,
and you either like them or you really dislike them, depending on obviously the movie. But there wasn't any of that with this.
No,
you
there
didn't
wasn't.
feel one way or the other about the character. It didn't build a character, did it? So you weren't sitting there rooting for the main character or despising the main character. You were just indifferent. You were just like...
And this is through the whole film.
Yeah.
This is absolutely through the whole film. And we see where it starts, and you don't really feel anything for him.
No.
I mean, I'm not just going to be like, oh, I feel for him because he's a blind guy. No, that's not what I mean. I just don't feel any
but you normally feel
support.
You normally feel one way or the other, don't you? Like if the main character in a movie is a villain, then you normally hate them.
Yeah.
And
or you can kind of root for them because you're like, actually I want it.
Yeah.
This is you're the bad guy, and we want to. But
there was nothing.
No, there was really nothing.
And I mean, most main characters in movies are the person you're rooting for, and they are, or you they make you laugh, or you warm to them because of their character, but. There wasn't a character. It was just kind of... And also, I think it doesn't help with casting Ben Affleck in that role, because I said to you as we were watching it as well,
yes,
Ben Affleck is just such a generic-looking man. I know that might sound strange, but he's got no character in his face either.
No, he doesn't. The only thing that he has is that big dimple in his chin. Yeah. But that's not enough to make somebody stand out.
No, he just looks like if you just kind of said, an attractive man. Like, he's not unattractive, but he's not got anything about him that's got character.
It's like you could take away Ben Affleck's movie career and make him a model in a catalogue and not think twice about him and not go, that guy looks like he's missing out on something in his life.
Yeah.
Do you know, I think he's actually a very uncharismatic man. Yeah. Yes, a very uncharismatic man. Which, considering some of the films he's been in,
when you think about other actors and you think what they can bring to a role, like some actors can really just bring something to a role, and you think that was cast so well. Like, you're perfect.
Compare him to Matt Damon, and think, like, Matt Damon, I think, is infinitely a better actor than Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong. I think Ben Affleck can direct a good movie.
Yeah.
But I just don't think he can act a good movie.
No.
And whereas Matt Damon, who you can put the two of them together, and the two of them together were one of my favourite films of all time, Dogma.
Yeah.
Right? I say one of my favourite films of all time. It's a very, very funny film.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. Is it in my top 10? Probably not, but it's still up there.
Yeah.
But not because of those two.
No.
But definitely not because of Ben Affleck. But like Matt Damon can act and he can bring things to roles.
Yeah.
But Ben Affleck just can't. There doesn't seem to be.
No.
It doesn't seem to be the characterization or the charisma that's going on.
It's almost like paint by numbers. Do you know what I mean by that? So like, if you had a piece of artwork that someone had put some heart and soul into,
yeah,
it would, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's got character.
Yes.
It's got something about it. And then if you get somebody else who's not an artist just to paint by numbers.
So what you're saying
Ben
is
Affleck is painted by numbers.
Ben Affleck is an actor made by AI.
Yeah, kind of. If you just said to AI, okay, good looking actor.
Yeah.
That's him. But like you say, he's got no charisma. There's nothing about him that sets him apart from another just good looking actor.
Yeah.
Bog standard good looking actor. I think that's the
100%.
word, isn't it? Bog standard. It's not and then you look at other people that you think, oh wow, they've got something about them. Like they're in a movie and you're like, wow, okay.
And this movie jumps up a notch, I think, when Colin Farrell enters.
Yeah.
Because he plays it completely unhinged. I mean, it's ridiculous, his character. And everything his character does is just the dictionary definition of ludicrous.
Yeah.
Every movement, every facial expression, every line he delivers.
But at least he's bringing something to the role, isn't he?
But he's doing something with it, much more so than our titular hero as Daredevil.
Yeah, I feel like Ben Affleck learns his lines, he walks onto set, he says the lines, he walks off.
What am I in this scene? Sad? Yep, okay.
Like, I can't imagine him improvising.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm trying to think of an actor that I can give as an example, but you see some movies and then you see the stars being interviewed and they're like, oh yeah, most of that scene was improvised. We just, like, someone just said something or came up with something on the spot and we just went with it.
Like, I went to see The Fall Guy recently.
Oh yeah,
like Ryan Gosling.
That's good actually.
I had a lot of fun watching that film, and that's the sort of thing I could imagine most of the conversations between him and Emily Blunt.
Yeah.
They were just like, this is kind of what we want you to cover in it.
Yeah.
Just go for it.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, do I think Ryan Gosling's an amazing actor? No.
He's
but
not
I think
an amazing actor, but he has got charisma.
He's got charisma.
Like him.
Yes, absolutely.
I do like him when he's interviewed. He's quite funny, and he seems like really down to earth, and he's got a good sense of humour, and he kind of has a good joke with interviewers and stuff.
He's also in my absolute favourite Saturday Night Live sketch ever.
Oh, okay.
The Papyrus one and the Avatar one. I'm sure I've sent it to you. I've probably mentioned it because you're a designer.
Yeah.
It's like, they just used the papyrus for Avatar.
Yeah, no, they did, didn't they? It's awful, that fun. Yeah, but he has got charisma. You can't argue with that. Like, I do like Ryan Gosling. I do think, like you say, he's not the best actor in the world, but
But I could watch him over Ben Affleck anytime.
He does bring something to the role.
Yeah.
He has got a personality. Whereas I just feel like, God, we're really going in hard on Ben Affleck here. But
I know.
I just feel like he is like.
The thing is, he really doesn't need it at the moment.
There's no star quality. There's no like.
No, that's right.
Special about him. Yeah. That couldn't just be replaced by any jobbing actor that was just trying to make it.
Yeah, you take Ben Affleck back to the old days of movies when you had like stars on retainer at studios.
Yeah.
He's no like Rhett Butler or Cary Grant sort of character.
No.
He doesn't have that movie
missing,
star about
him.
him.
There's no star quality. It's just something missing.
He's just a guy from New Jersey who was in the right place at the right time. Wrote a script with his pal, and
it's almost like
that
he's
was
got
it.
into acting by default. Or like right place, right time. It's not like he's got bags of talent and someone's gone him. He's great.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like some actors, they might be in like a little play or something, and someone spots them and goes, "You're amazing." Like,
you're a star.
Can you be in this movie kind of thing? I've heard of stories like that before, where someone's been headhunted and spotted in a little play. And they've gone, "Wow, that person's really great."
It's almost like he's a nepo baby without being a nepo baby. Yeah. He doesn't have what it takes. So you'd imagine, you could Google, who are Ben Affleck's famous mum and dad to think, how did he get here? You know?
He's also got a brother, hasn't he, that acts,
Casey, who is infinitely better than him as well.
Yeah,
but I think he's a bit of a dickhead.
Not that well known, is he? Really? Like, he's not... He's not been massively successful.
No, because I think he was in the shadow of Ben because of that. But I think he was a dickhead, a bit of a knob as well.
Oh, okay.
Although, forgive me if I'm wrong, I do remember there were some stories about Casey Affleck not exactly being the greatest of people on a particular set.
Oh, okay.
But I can't quite remember, so that is with a massive check me out on that one, because I could be wrong. Okay. But yeah, I mean, he's had a lot more critical acclaim with films like Manchester by the Sea.
Yeah.
But then any sort of film for Casey Affleck, people always go, oh, but Manchester by the Sea. Oh, Manchester. Oh, he's so great in that.
I've not seen that.
No, neither have I actually. But I've just heard that he's really good in it. You know,
we don't specialise in good movies.
No. That's the thing. The amount of times I've been like, oh, there's a good movie on, but there's also like Toxic
movie.
Avenger 2.
Yeah.
So
what are you going to do?
Toxic Avenger 2, which, by the way, I started watching Toxic Avenger 2 just to see what it was like. No word of a lie. You're 20 minutes into the movie and you're still on the first fight scene.
Oh, what?
Bliss.
How?
Just, we'll find out when we watch it for the podcast. Trust me. Trust me. Absolutely, we will. So, look, I know we've been really hard in on Ben Affleck here, right?
We have, yeah.
But
we've been really
with good reason, because every scene that we then go on to talk about, there's just not a lot of fun to it, apart from one, but it's a ridiculous scene anyway. So this new part of the movie, after the origin story that we have, and we see, you know, as a young kid, Matt Murdock training up to be the man without fear and being this guy that can leap across buildings and jump off of buildings and, you know, land without destroying his knees. You know, because he doesn't have super strength.
He doesn't have superpowers.
He's
like
only
that,
got
he just jumps off a building.
Enhanced. Yeah, he's got, the only thing he's got is enhanced hearing and this radar sight. Really, that's it. He doesn't have like super strength or super agility or super. I don't know what the word is. Endurance, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's his only superpowers. But he's just. You're supposed to believe that Daredevil was so trained that he can do inhuman feats through his ability and his constant training to do those kinds of things. That's what it is. So he doesn't have Spider-Man's abilities.
I think even if I had all of the fighting abilities, I'm not sure I'd launch myself off a building like he does.
Yeah, no, I know. He jumps off of a skyscraper at one point and lands on, you know, one of those windscreen washer things that goes up and down the buildings.
Yeah.
Like 50 floors down.
Yeah.
And you're trying to tell me that just because when he lands on it, it gives way, his knees don't buckle.
No.
And his ankles aren't in his throat. Come on.
It is ridiculous.
He is a concertinaed man. That's what he becomes. Anyway, yeah. But we see him training for this through his youth. But we come back to modern day, and he's in a court case, and there's a serial rapist on trial, and he gets off on some sort of technicality. But Matt Murdock is like to his pal Froggy, I can't go for a drink tonight, I'm busy.
Yeah.
And then that's when we see Daredevil dressed up in a bar. He's in the rafters of the bar where the defendant who got off is sitting drinking, etc.
Yeah.
And then Daredevil just tears through the bar, beats the snot out of everyone, absolutely destroys them all. Well, I say absolutely destroys them all. The amount of gunfire that's going around, I mean, how the police are not there within minutes. It's just there are automatic weapons just firing off all over the place. How no one dies is insane.
It's a bit like that scene in Pulp Fiction where
shoots
all around him, and he's just like, he looks at the wall, he's like, how did I just not get it?
It's exactly that. It really is. But this guy, he gets beaten up, and he runs away. But Daredevil follows him down into the train tracks, etc. And ultimately, The guy falls on the tracks, train comes along, cuts him in half.
Yeah.
Now, I think I remember this was one of the big issues with the film, is that Daredevil is a superhero, right?
Yeah.
And although, like, vengeance is his thing, I don't remember him standing by with people being cut in half by trains. So I think that was a lot of the outcry from, like, the comic book world and the comic book fans at the time, because it's like watching Batman kill someone.
Yeah.
You know for a fact the way that Batman punches and beats people up and smashes them over their spines, they're never walking again.
Yeah.
But you know he's not killing them.
Yeah.
You know,
That's right,
and the same sort of thing. Yeah, it's fine, you know. Oh, crippled for life, not a problem. But he didn't kill them. That's the main thing, you know. And in America as well, could you imagine the medical bills?
Yeah.
Just the medical bills alone would make me not want to be a villain in America.
Yeah, the medical bit. Well, actually, I say it's crazy, but obviously people have insurance, don't they? And a lot of it's covered by insurance. But when you see the medical bills for like having a baby or something, or like,
I certainly wouldn't have 4 kids if I lived in America.
No way.
No chance. No chance.
But also just like an ambulance call out and things like that can be thousands. Like, it's crazy.
It's like Daredevil's just smashed your face open with a billy club. Do you want to go to the hospital? No, I'm just going to go home. I'm just going to go home and put some super glue on my face to hold it together. Thank you very much.
I don't know what it's like in America. I know in some countries, if you haven't got insurance, you literally could die in the entrance to a hospital and they wouldn't treat you if you didn't have insurance.
I don't know how true that is, but I imagine there's got to be countries where
I used to work with a South African lady.
Oh God.
And she said, no word of a lie, where she was from, if you walked into hospital and you had the first thing they'll do is check your medical insurance. If you haven't got it, you would literally lay there and die.
Jesus.
And she said to me that was true. I mean, I'm only taking her word for it.
Of course.
But so I'm hoping that America's not to that extent.
Well, that's the thing. I think you'd end up getting treatment, but
you might end up getting billed.
Yeah, you'd be billed, and you've got to pay it on your bankrupt or whatever.
When you see somebody break down, I've seen videos online where people break down their bill, and obviously it's covered by the insurance, they're fine. But it's when you see the amount they charge them, like just like the hospital bed, the ambulance, the medication, all of that. It's ridiculous what they're charging. It can't cost that much.
But then if it's like ongoing treatment and it can go on and on, what about the worry about your insurance company just suddenly turning around and going,
well, you must
we're not treating that anymore.
Have different levels of cover like you do for like
but again at any point.
It's like
so
ongoing
recently my company changed their insurance provider in the US.
Yeah.
I think it was last year they changed the insurance provider, and my boss was telling me that, you know, she had to go around and check with all of her healthcare providers that they accepted that insurance, or she'd have to find somewhere else to go for whatever it was, etc. And you just think, Jesus Christ, it's mind-boggling, isn't it?
And insurance companies will try and screw you over so badly.
Oh, yeah.
So
did you see?
Literally, so many things won't be covered. Yeah. You have to be really careful with pet insurance because so when I got Milo, when I looked into insurance, I did a bit of research because I didn't have a clue.
Sure.
This is my first dog that I've ever had, my first pet that I've ever had as an adult. So a lot of people are saying make sure you cover things like dental because a lot of insurance plans won't cover dental at all. So then, I mean, he had to have 2 teeth taken out because he had baby teeth that didn't fall out.
Okay.
And then they were wedged like against his adult. The adult teeth still came through, but then the baby teeth were like rubbing against the adult teeth.
Oh God, yeah.
So they had to remove 2 of those, and because I'd done my research, I'd made sure I'd got on a policy that covered dental as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I still had to pay like an excess, but it halved the amount I had to pay.
Yeah.
So had I have not got the dental and he had any sort of problems like that, I would have had to just pay out the whole amount.
And I can't be cheap, dental
and
stuff
then
for dogs.
some don't cover ongoing illness, like you say, if they've got to have like ongoing medication.
Yeah.
You'd have to pay for that. And then it's things like, I think he's covered for something like up to £7,000 a year or something for... Okay. So say he had to keep going back for appointments to check things out, have scans and
But I think it'd be amazing how quickly that would run out that 7,000.
Yeah.
I mean, this episode's going to come out a week before the elections in the UK. Yeah. And have you seen, I had a leaflet come through for Reform.
Yeah.
So Reform UK is
I've not had one
the
of those.
weird party
Yeah.
that's
Everything.
anti-British. If you're not British, you're not coming in, basically. And they said that they're going to abolish NHS waiting queues. Okay,
Abolish them.
abolish them. Bearing in mind, right?
How?
This is a party who's probably going to get maximum 1 or 2 MPs, maximum.
Yeah.
Absolute maximum.
They're not getting in.
So they can promise anything they want.
Yeah.
Of course. So they said on this leaflet it said if you can't get a doctor's appointment in 3 days,
Yeah.
right, they're going to give you a voucher to go private and see a GP privately. Okay. If you need to go and see a consultant and you can't see a consultant within, I don't know, it was something like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. You're going to get a voucher to go and see a private consultant. Okay.
Okay.
If you need an operation and you can't get an operation within 9 weeks, okay,
Yeah.
you're going to get a voucher to have your operation done by a private service. Now, bearing in mind, who is it that does all the private work in the UK? It's the NHS doctors who do private work. There's not many just private GPs or private consultants or private surgeons. Just doesn't happen. They do both. So, how is that going to work? How is it going to work? One, you'll bankrupt the country because there's not enough GPs or consultants to see everybody within 3 days, 3 weeks, or have operations. The backlog already is way past 9 weeks. So everybody's going to be seeing them privately within several weeks, which is only going to push the NHS queues even further because everybody's doing private work now to cover up. Yeah. And you just think, there are some people who are going to sit there and go, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, without thinking about how it actually works.
Oh dear.
But anyway. I would happily go and pay, I would happily pay for private healthcare. Yeah. If I didn't also have to pay for the NHS, because obviously we do get taxed and we do pay for the NHS. So when we say we've got free healthcare, it comes out of our tax.
I pay for private healthcare through my work, right? And it's, it comes off pre-tax, etc. It is worlds apart. It's absolutely worlds apart. But I'm not going to go, but I still have to pay for private. So there's a surcharge you still have to pay for if you need anything private done. Thankfully, I haven't, touch wood, hairy wood's best. But I'll still go to the normal NHS for just everything else. I don't need to go private for I've got a viral infection and I need antibiotics.
But if it came to something like
but if it came to it, I'd go to the GP. Yeah, a long way, exactly. I'd need a referral from my GP. I'd get an appointment with the GP. I'd say, this is what's wrong. I need a referral. I've already spoken to my private health or whatever, and all I need is a referral from you to them, and then they'll take over. And I would, because I'm in a position where I can afford to do that private healthcare, I would happily take the burden off of the NHS and pay that extra to do it. Yeah. But if they turned around and said you could pay the same into the NHS directly and get that same service for the NHS, I'd still pay the extra to the NHS directly because I believe in the NHS as a service and as an ideal. But while private exists and I'm lucky enough to afford private for my work, that would be how I would rather take the pressure off the NHS and go that way. But I'm still acutely aware that I'd still be seeing NHS people. Yeah. They're just doing private work.
But the thing is with a private hospital, so I've been to a private hospital from the NHS, I don't have private healthcare. But if they haven't got enough doctors, like you say, or like wait times are long, then you can sometimes, luckily, get a private hospital. And it is worlds apart. I mean,
it is.
I would love the NHS. I would love the government to put in enough money into the NHS because actually, whenever I have used the NHS, I mean, I've used them for the kids quite a lot and they have been amazing. I can't fault them. And the actual staff that are there, they are run off their feet. Like they are 14-hour shifts. They've got people. Last time I was in the hospital, some woman that was in there for drug use was being very rude to the staff. Yeah. She had a drip that she kept taking off the hook to go out and have a fag. Sorry, a cigarette if you're American. She kept going out of the hospital to smoke. Yeah. And she was unhooking her drip. And then the drip had no effect. And then she moaned at the staff and they said, we told you to keep it up high. If you unhook it, it's not going to work. And now we can't give you any more medication because we don't know how much of that drip you've actually got. Yeah. So she was really being rude to him, and I thought, and she was kicking off at one point saying she was going to go home, and they said, that's fine, you can go home, but we're advising you to stay. Yeah. And if you go home now, you won't get your medication to take home with you because you have to wait for it to be dispensed. Mm-hmm. And her boyfriend talked her down as she stayed. But I thought, you're putting up with all of that, you barely get a break, you barely get time to have a drink of water or a wee or anything, and you're on your feet concentrating, trying to look after people for 14 hours at a time.
I know, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking thinking about it.
And they still are so dedicated to their jobs and so good to the patients. And I just think I could not do.
No, I know. And I stop and I think, I get annoyed if someone questions what I'm teaching in a class.
I couldn't put up with the public moaning.
I don't show it, but it's like, no. Jesus Christ,
They're literally doing their best. They've got a lot of people in that waiting room, and they've got a lot of people. I mean, when I was in the waiting room for A&E a little while ago, someone came in to the waiting room, and bearing in mind, we'd all been sat there for a couple of hours already, and they went, oh, for goodness sake, oh, look, I told you it'd be busy, we're going to be here hours and all this. And I was like, everyone else here is waiting us too. They've only got so many staff, they're doing the best they can. Yeah. Honestly.
And they triage you. They will triage you. If you are important, you will be seen.
And it's not their fault that they haven't got enough staff.
No, it's not their fault.
They haven't got enough money put into the NHS. They haven't got enough beds. They haven't got enough staff. They haven't got enough equipment. Yeah.
The list goes on.
That is not the staff's fault, though.
No, it's not.
That is the government's fault.
It is, 100%.
So you can't have a go at staff.
But we've got 40 new hospitals, Emma. We've got 40 new hospitals, haven't we, since the last election?
Well, Boris was going to build hundreds of hospitals, wasn't he?
I mean,
I don't know how he's going to staff them,
they're
but he was going to build them.
They're somewhere in his head.
Well, they built them for COVID, didn't they? Never used them.
Oh, yeah, the Nightingale hospitals. Was it? No.
Yeah, I think it was Nightingale.
Was that what they called them? Or was it just, there was just the big one that was called Nightingale? Or were all the little ones that were building going to be called Nightingale hospitals?
I'm not sure. I know the big one was Nightingale.
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember. But anyway, Daredevil.
If you're not from the UK as well, you'll be like, what are they talking about the NHS? What is the NHS? National Health Service. Yeah,
what is it? Rob Delaney, the actor, the American actor and comedian. I love him. I think he's brilliant. Listen to that man talk about the NHS because, of course, obviously, absolute tragic events with his young son, of course. But yeah, it's a service that should be world leading, and every country should be looking at and thinking that's how we should treat
that's the model.
That's how we should look after the people in our country, but not when you're a conservative.
And like I say, I've had like a really good experience with the actual doctors and nurses themselves. Yeah. My son was in hospital over Christmas once, and he actually nearly died from an asthma attack. Yeah. And I cannot fault the staff. They were amazing. Yeah, they are. And so, sorry, I'm suffering with hay fever really badly.
No, we're actually, ladies and gentlemen, we're seeing emotions from Emma. This is an important moment.
It's the first time ever. It's taken 43 years. No, they were amazing, and I can't fault them. So it's not the actual staff's fault. It's there's not enough money put into NHS, and it should be because we pay enough tax.
We do.
Have terrible roads, terrible healthcare.
But the thing is that we're the wrong people paying tax.
Yeah, I know.
We are the wrong people paying tax. I remember having an argument, a heated debate with someone that I worked with, right? Yeah. Because he said, people, like this is the last election, Labour wants to put taxes up for people that earn 80 grand a year. And I was like, yeah, mate, I used to do the job that you do. Yeah. I know the maximum that you can be earning. Yeah. I was like, you don't earn 80 grand in your job. Yeah, but my wife earns as well. And I was like, yeah but they don't put your incomes together. You will be taxed on your income and she'll be taxed on her income. Yeah. No.
How can you be working
households earning £80,000 a year are going to pay more tax and are going to be out of money. It's like, no, you absolutely aren't. You are not. I said, you don't have to tell me how much you earn. I know you don't earn 80k.
Yeah.
So you are not going to pay more tax.
Also, how can you be a working adult and not understand how tax works
on
your wages?
Yeah.
I don't go,
but
okay,
that's...
they haven't got a database going, okay.
It's what we rely on.
Like, Sarah lives with John, so let's combine their tax, do their tax code together. No, they don't do that. Like, it's an individual thing.
Yeah. When I got my car, I had to teach... This is so funny. I had to teach the salesman about how the European Parliament works.
Really?
But yeah, because he says, it's going to take a little bit of time to get your car because it's coming from Europe.
Yeah.
And with Brexit and all that, it's going to be, it's just added time on to getting your car. I said, yeah, fair enough. And I said, has it been affecting you a lot? He says, yeah, it's been affecting the work in that, but I'm just so glad to be out of Europe. And I was like, oh, really interesting, because I'm very staunchly, we should have remained,
Me too,
you know. And I was like, oh, so how has it benefited you and all that sort of thing? And we've got our freedom back. That's the kind of argument,
but
you know.
I don't think
we've
people
got our
knew
freedom
what they were
back.
voting for. That's the trouble.
No. And then it was like, and now we don't have to listen to those. And he actually just parroted the phrase, you know, we don't have to be beholden to those unelected bureaucrats in Europe. And I had to say, whoa. Yeah. Stop there a second. Who told you? Who says they're unelected bureaucrats? And he was like, well, like Farage and all that. I said, no, sorry. Yeah. He's an elected bureaucrat in Europe. Yeah. He was a member of European Parliament. We vote for these people to go from our country and represent our country. Yeah. Just the same as everyone else. And he was like, yeah, but other countries. And I was like, yeah, but if you think about it, in a general election, you vote for your MP to go and represent you in Parliament. Yeah. You don't vote for an MP in Scotland. Yeah. It's the same thing, just on a larger scale. And then I had to explain how the UK Independence Party would actively abstain from votes because it would make things worse for the UK and Europe. Yeah. Because then, you know, the more UKIP MPs we had, the less things would go our way because they would abstain and not vote. So, of course, the UK ended up without a voice. And you could almost see the penny drop, almost. Yeah, almost, but it never actually, if it did, it just fell down that well and there was a bottomless thing. Anyway, I still give him 5 stars because he was a decent salesman and he didn't stymie me on anything. So, you know. Fair enough. Anyway, Daredevil. Back to the movie.
Can you tell we haven't got much to say that's good about this
movie?
I
don't have much to say.
Waffled on about everything else we can think of.
I know. So, this happens. So that happens. This guy dies. We're introduced to Ben Urich, who is a reporter who is adamant there's a vigilante going round taking down bad guys, etc. Yeah. And they're like, yo, Urich, you're so on this guy, and there's no proof of it. And then he throws like a cigarette over on the floor, and it lights up in perfect outline
in the logo.
A D and a D logo for Daredevil.
Which is the shittest logo ever, by the way.
But it's taken directly from the comics, and it is his logo, the D and the D, but it's not great. But also, why is Daredevil taking the time as a blind man, right? Yeah. Taking the time as a blind man. A guy's just been split in half by a subway train to then have enough sound going on to give him the vision to write perfectly massive, like 6 foot by 6 foot Ds.
I know. It was ridiculous.
And then for this Ben Urich to know that that's there
I know.
and flick the cigarette onto the floor in just the right spot. Yeah. What the hell's going on?
It's a perfect storm.
I know.
It's just absolutely. Everything came together so nicely there.
It really did.
It's just, it was ridiculous.
Oh, so the next thing we see is Froggy, who is played by... Oh my God,
what's his name?
I can't believe I've forgotten his name already.
We
looked it up and everything.
Monica's boyfriend in Friends, isn't he?
Yeah.
Pete, the guy who wants to go and fight
and
stuff.
Jon Favreau, who is responsible for some of the best Star Wars stuff recently with The Mandalorian and all that. Yeah. I'll fight you for that. All right, I'll
I
find
haven't
you for
watched
that.
Mandalorian. Brody has, actually.
It's good fun. It's very
Brody
good fun.
likes Mandalorian.
But it's very much just like, in this episode, we need to go and get something. In this episode, we go and get that thing.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got that thing. It's done. It's every episode.
You and Brody have got a hell of a lot more in common than me and you have, but obviously it's weird if you're just friends with an 11-year-old. You're only allowed to be friends with him because he's your friend's son. Otherwise it would be weird.
So yeah. Damn it, I've been found out. I've been thinking, I've not recorded with Brody for a while. And we need a bad.
Yes, we do need another kids movie.
We need a kids movie. We do need a kids movie. Yeah. Right. So we just had that scene. Anyway, like, I'm moving swiftly on from the fact that I only want to be friends with your son. Right. But so that's one scene that we have. Okay.
Yeah.
Or one vignette of scenes that we have.
Yeah.
So like I said, we have. Matt Murdock sitting down chatting with his pal Froggy in a cafe, and there's this kind of banter thing going on between them where, you know, as the friend of a blind man, what would you do with his coffee? You'd fill it up with mustard and all the stuff, you know, and it clearly never works because he gets caught out by it.
Yeah.
So, but they're distracted because Matt Murdock suddenly smells something.
Yes.
And Froggy realises exactly that it's a beautiful scent that must be coming. A beautiful woman must be coming in because he's like, oh, when's it happening? She's like, just a moment. And in walks Jennifer Garner.
Yeah. And
we get this bit where he decides to go and talk to her, and he's like, does he ask her the time or whatever? Or he asks her something, and she's like, oh, well, what, are you blind? And then notices the cane, notices him actually blind. Yeah. And that seems to be his little shtick to get in with women, is to manipulate them with his disability. Well played, Matt Murdock.
Okay.
That was literally like the pickup artist sort of play.
Yeah.
You got a disability, use it. Use it to your advantage. Make them feel bad so that they want to go out with you.
Yeah.
To make it up to you. Which, you know, if it works, it works. But, Matt, is this really what you want from your life?
Well, clearly.
Clearly.
But yeah, morals have got to come into question.
Yeah.
But, you know.
So he's desperate to get her number and a name, etc., etc. She leaves without giving it to him. But, wait.
I think I did actually say when we saw her character, I was like, shut up, Ben Affleck.
I know.
Anyway.
I know. And I was sitting there thinking, yeah, it could have been me. But he decides to follow her, and, oh, surprise, surprise, Electra Natchios decides to be walking through a kid's playground, and Ben grabs her by the hand, or Matt grabs her by the hand, and she's like, don't touch me. And then somehow a playful little fight kicks off where, you know...
It's so cheesy.
It's really cheesy. I can't even remember the music that plays during it.
I can't remember the music, but it's... we've got a scene, haven't we? We've got a scene in one of the categories. Maybe we'll talk about it then.
But they have this playful fight, and he gets her name, etc. We then are introduced to our big major villain, who is the Kingpin, played by Michael Clark Duncan. He's having a meeting with who it turns out to be Electra's dad, Nicholas Natchios.
Yeah.
Who's like, hey, everybody is kind of getting the idea that there's a great big kingpin who controls all the crime in New York. I want out of it, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, I want to get out of it. Kingpin's like, yeah, no problem. That all seems fine. And when Nicholas Natchios leaves, Kingpin's like, hey, Wesley, my right-hand man, I want a paper trail pinning all of the Kingpin stuff to this fella, and I want him dead as well. Okay? So we also then have Matt Murdock somehow get an invite to this big event that's been thrown by Nicholas Natchios as well. Yeah. And he, but they get Kingpin at this time as well has also got Bullseye involved, who is played by Colin Farrell.
Yes.
Now, Bullseye is a supervillain who's got like supernatural
Okay, so
aim.
I've actually written a note, special mention to Colin Farrell's character.
Good, yeah.
He, like you say, it's called Bullseye. Mm-hmm. He's got a target, not tattooed, carved into his forehead.
Yeah.
So it's literally cut into his skin.
Yeah.
And he is just bizarre, isn't he? And
He's very bizarre.
Over the top, but at least he had a character.
Yes. At least he had a character.
I did quite like him because he had a character.
Yeah, he did. He absolutely did.
Daredevil, that's just meh.
He just brought something to a pretty lackluster film. As did Michael Clarke Duncan.
Yeah.
He's got that kind of big presence that is just Michael Clarke Duncan. You know, he's the sort of man where you have to see his full name in one go.
Yeah.
You can't just go, oh yeah,
Samuel
Affleck
L.
or
Jackson.
Ben.
You can't just say Samuel.
Yeah, you
no
can't.
one knows who you're talking about. Samuel L. Jackson.
You have to say the full
name.
name. Yeah.
And I think even if he's been interviewed, the interviewer would have to refer to him as Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes.
You wouldn't best just say, so Samuel. It just doesn't
it would
sound
feel
right.
weird.
It doesn't sound right, no.
No, yeah.
And I don't think he'd respond to it.
I don't think he would. I think he'd look at you like you're some kind of
He'd be
motherfucker.
waiting for the rest, Say Samuel again. I dare you. I double dare you.
L. Jackson. I double dare you, motherfucker.
Say what again? Sorry, just doing Pulp Fiction.
I am sick and tired of these interviewers not saying Samuel L. Jackson.
Get these motherfucking interviewers off this motherfucking plane.
Dear oh dear.
Anyway, I just did want to touch on Colin Farrell's character because he was a little treat, wasn't he?
Yeah, aye. Right. So he's got him involved, and there's a few scenes of him coming over to the States. So we get to this event, and, well, like, Affleck's there with Froggy. We've got Elektra there. We've got... I know they've had, like, a date as well.
Yes.
They've had a bit of a date, and it's, the rainfall and all that sort of thing. It's all very pretty, blah, blah, blah.
Oh yeah.
But I'm speeding through the film.
Oh,
And
we could have sped through it when we
I know. I wish
it.
they'd sped through it. Yeah. So they're at this event, and Kingpin's like saying to Nicholas Nachos, "Oh, doesn't your daughter look really happy there? It'd be a shame for anything to happen to her." Blah blah blah. And like he puts a red rose into the lapel of Nicholas Nachos, and it's the same type of red rose that went onto the chest of Daddy Murdoch earlier in the film. Oh, wow, what a way to bring it round. Anyway, that by the by, that's all by the by. So, meanwhile, Murdoch is dancing with Elektra. They're like, oh, this is all lovely, I'm really into you, blah, blah, blah. But then, because of the direct threat on Elektra, what's his name? Nicholas Nachos, Elektra's dad, decides to leave the party with Elektra, bundle in the car and get out of New York because it's not safe. He knows the Kingpin's now going to have it out for him. Mm-hmm. Now, in this time that they get in the car and get zipping away, Matt Murdock gets changed out of his dress suit and tie into his Daredevil leathers and is keeping up with this car along the rooftops of New York. Okay?
Which, by the way, they don't really ever explain in... You might know this because you're more of a fan, but superhero movies, they never really explain the costumes. Like Spider-Man, for example.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, I've got these powers.
Yes.
And then he has a shit costume, in like the Tobey Maguire ones.
Yeah.
He has like a shit costume, and then all of a sudden he's got this great Spider-Man costume. Where do the costumes come from?
They learn how to sew.
Who's making...
They learn how to sew.
Because, I mean, I can't sew for shit. If I was a superhero all of a sudden, I'd be like, how... Someone's going to have to make my costume for me.
And the thing is as well, they make these costumes that are so perfectly fitted to them as well. They're like masters.
It's quite a skill to
absolutely
make a costume.
And at least the Spider-Man, it's just kind of spandex. You can kind of get away. There's a bit of a stretch. It's fine. But Ben Affleck, his Daredevil character has got crafted leather that is flexible enough for him to be jumping and zipping across the streets, the skyline of New York, and it's leather.
We're talking.
Sorry.
We're talking high quality costumes here.
Yeah.
We're talking, like you say, made to measure.
Yeah.
Decent material. There's no way that you would just have that stuff in your house and know how to create it.
And I much prefer when you see the heroes in homemade stuff, like the TV show Daredevil with Charlie Cox playing the Matt Murdock character. For most of it, he's just in like a black sort of outfit, black tight-fitting t-shirt, long sleeve top, trousers, and he's got like a scarf over his eyes to kind of hide his face and that kind of thing. So, and that's just stuff that he's thrown together at home, and he's got, like boxing wrappings around his hands, like his dad would have done, So that's understandable, right? That's you could put that together at home.
Yeah.
But in the TV show, there's a guy who makes outfits, like bulletproof outfits, and he does something and he builds a suit for him.
Yeah.
So there tends to be someone who makes suits.
Or like you can get away with Iron Man because
he makes his own.
And when he's taken into like the cave or whatever he's in the it's almost like a prisoner of war, isn't he?
Yes.
He makes something out of, it's like scrap metal, and they're wanting to build a weapon, don't they?
That's right.
And he builds the suit
and he
instead.
needs to, he's like, I need to build this exoskeleton to move it around. And
it's like a rough looking suit that he's made with the materials he's got at hand. Mm-hmm. It's not the suit, the polished suit comes later on, but he is
back to his own.
He does that sort of stuff. He can do that sort of stuff. But when it's like, this is just some guy that's just all of a sudden found himself with superpowers, he's not going to be able to make a suit like that.
It's like the Rhino. Yeah. Right? The Rhino. He's just he's a big guy, right? Super strength, etc., etc. But what made him think, I'm going to make a costume that makes me look like a rhino? Yeah. Where do you get that from? No, you just don't. I agree with you wholeheartedly. You just don't. And it doesn't make sense.
No.
It doesn't make sense. Sorry, I had a hair from my moustache in my mouth. I fully agree with you. These outfits and all that, and all these gadget billy clubs that he's got with the wires, the zip wires and all that kind of thing, where have they come from?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely right. So, speaking of his billy clubs, Bullseye throws these throwing stars and kills the drivers of Nicholas Nachios.
He throws those. What are they?
They're they're just like throwing discs, stars in his belt.
That's what he does. That's how he kills people.
He throws things.
Slits their throats.
He's already killed an old lady with by throwing a peanut or flicking a peanut and bouncing in her throat.
He'll throw anything to hand, won't he? And he'll get them. Yeah.
He unfolds paper clips and throws them. Yeah. And stabs a guy in the throat with them.
Yeah.
But that's Bullseye. That's his shtick.
Well,
that's what he does.
Bullseye, I guess, because he gets you right where it's going to kill you.
That's it. Yeah. And he never misses. Yeah. Bullseye never misses. So anyway, Bullseye kills the drivers. The car crashes. Daredevil lands, stops him from, he throws one of these stars at Daredevil, and Daredevil sort of sees it coming. I mean, I understand the irony there. But he sees it coming and he dodges it, and that annoys Bullseye because now he's made me miss. I never miss, blah, 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 blah. But then Bullseye throws one of his billy clubs at... Daredevil throws one of his billy clubs at Bullseye. Bullseye grabs it, throws it back to... He's not going to throw it at Daredevil. He throws it towards Nachios, the dad, and as Daredevil jumps to stop it, like, some loud bang happens which makes him see, like, multiple different versions because there's all... loads of different kind of sound things coming at him, and he misses the billy club, and the billy club goes flying and kills Elektra's dad. Elektra sees that it's Daredevil's billy club and thinks, you bastard, you killed my dad. Yeah. And I know. So now she goes off to go and, train up to get her vengeance. Yeah. Daredevil's really sad because she's not going to stick around and he's now single again. I think that's pretty much his only reason he's sad. Yeah. And Bullseye's like, he goes off to see the Kingpin and he's like, I want to get this Daredevil fella, blah, blah, blah. Well, and they think, right, well, okay. Bullseye is then sent to go and take out Elektra as well. Yeah. Okay. And she trains Daredevil. Well, no, she trains, and then Daredevil's on the rooftops having an argument with Elektra. Well, not having an argument, they're having a fight. That's more like it. They're actually having a fight. And Bullseye comes along, and Daredevil gets stabbed by Elektra in his shoulder, and he's out of the fight. But Bullseye comes along, and she's like, "Oh wait, you didn't kill my dad. It was this guy. Oh no!" So they fight, but Elektra gets stabbed, and Bullseye disappears.
Yeah.
Having done his job, and she goes to Daredevil. Daredevil gets to her. She's dying. It's all very sad. Elektra's dead until the next movie. Elektra comes out, which is awful. I don't think I'm going to make you watch that.
No.
After this, I don't know what we're going to do.
I know that you really hate my guts if you make me watch
I don't know what we're going to do for the next movie, because I was kind of banking on Elektra, but I don't think I can put you through that so soon after this.
We'll think of something.
We will think of something. So yeah, now we get back to where the movie started. Daredevil in pain on the church, crashing to the floor, and then Bullseye comes in. We have a great big show off, a terrible CGI show off where they're dancing and jumping around the church. Absolutely dreadful. Daredevil throws Bullseye out the church. They have a fight. He throws him out the church. Bullseye falls to what we assume is his death. Fight over. Daredevil goes. Elektra's dead. And then, but Matt's kind of Matt's a little bit happier in life, because he's like, oh, I've kind of worked out some of my own internal demons. And then he's on the rooftops and he finds Elektra's necklace that he saw earlier in the movie, but it's got Braille writing on it, which leads us to believe that Elektra's not dead, setting up the next movie. And then there's a mid-credit scene where Bullseye is in police custody in a body cast, and there's a fly buzzing round, and he flicks something, a syringe, and kills the fly. And that's where we find out he's still alive, and that's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I have powered through it.
Well, apart from our discussion about
the discussion,
the elections.
Yeah, I know.
Apart from the actual movie
and the NHS and medical insurance, but it all came from Daredevil. So, I mean, look, the movie was just so devoid of life and anything interesting that I've really not got anything more to say about it. Now, what about our topics?
So we had music. Mm-hmm. I've just put 90s, or it might be 90s or early 2000s music. Which I like, because that's my sort of era.
Yes.
Of when I was like going out to clubs and things like that. Was it this movie that we had, Mystique?
No, that was Catwoman. That was Catwoman. I could not pick out a single song from the soundtrack of this movie. I couldn't pick it out.
There was
but it was all.
It was
apart
my
from
era.
one. There was who was it? They're doing the tour with Taylor Swift at the moment. Paramore.
Oh yes, yeah.
Wake Me Up by Paramore.
Yes.
That song played during Elektra training to be like the badass that she ended up being and stabbing Daredevil. But it was all very generic 2000s kind of new metal stuff, wasn't it? Yeah. I say that like I could be completely wrong. But other than Paramore, I couldn't pull it out at all. No. Could you?
There was obviously a couple of songs in there that I recognised, because I've made a note that it was like my sort of thing. Like, not my sort of thing, but it reminded me of that time when I was going out all the time. But I didn't write down particular songs. But yeah, I didn't think it was bad music. It was just, again, there's nothing really stand out about this movie, is there? I'm going through the other categories and I'm like, I've got nothing down for good actor, got nothing down for accent, but it wasn't really... I guess we did have like New York kind of accents, but...
Yeah, I know.
It wasn't... I mean, accent's always a bit of a tricky one, because some movies you just don't have... We've watched movies before where you have people attempt a different accent, and then that's quite funny, but This
it wasn't Paramore, it was
anything.
Evanescence.
Oh,
Evanescence,
yes.
not Paramore, sorry. But yeah, Bring Me Back to Life was the song. But yeah, it was one of those films where there was just nothing particularly good that stands out.
I quite liked we had Scene.
Yeah.
I quite liked the fight scene in the play park only because it was so bad. We watched these bad movies because we quite enjoyed.
So bad it was good kind of scene.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
And that was, there was one point where they jump on the seesaw, for goodness sake. So she jumps on the seesaw, and then he jumps on the other end.
And I'm sorry, but what play park do you know has two seesaws side by side where you could straddle one and the other?
Yeah.
And have your feet on either side to go up or down? None.
None.
That seems like absolute health and safety nightmare to me.
Yeah.
Having two seesaws like that right next to each other.
It was just so cheesy and so we're kind of fighting, we're kind of flirting with each other.
Yeah.
And it was,
And the way a lot of kids turned up and like, yeah, fight.
Yeah, this is an empty play park and then all of a sudden there's loads of kids there.
I know.
So I guess I would call that a good scene in a bad movie just because it was cheesy and it was everything that you would expect from a bad movie fight scene.
Yes, it was. Yeah, I would agree with that one because I don't have it down as a bad scene myself either. I don't have it as a bad scene.
No.
One scene that I did like though was the introduction of Bullseye in the British pub.
Yes.
Because as well, he's playing darts and he's drinking a pint and he's just throwing dart after dart after dart. And that's not how a darts game works.
No.
You throw 3 darts, you move on, your opponent throws their 3 darts. That's it. You don't stand there throwing like 9 darts at the bullseye. You don't win like that. No. And he wasn't even throwing them at the bullseye. That would have made sense.
Yeah.
If he was throwing the bullseye. He was throwing the triple 20.
Yeah.
Fine,
Whatever.
But it did make me laugh that he's standing down in this pint doing that, and then and then they pay up because he won. No, he didn't. No. That's not how you win.
That's not how you play darts.
So this guy pays him up the money, and he's he says something about him being Irish and get out of here, whatever it was he says. I can't quite remember what he says about him, and then that's oh no. So he pulls out this paper clip. And he's all like, ugh. I can't quite get the way that he did it. He's all mysterious, like he's doing the magician reveal. Paperclip. And he unfolds it and he's like, oh, what's he going to do with this? And then he just throws it and it stabs in this guy's throat. And it's like, this is a British guy in a pub playing darts. There's no way that paperclip got through that thickness of neck.
That's what we said, didn't we? So
there's no way.
This guy's got quite a big neck.
Yeah.
And it's a paperclip.
And
so it's not getting through to the jugular.
It hasn't got.
It maybe pierces your skin and makes you bleed a bit, but it's not. Yeah. It's not getting through all of the flesh in your neck to get through to.
And it's instantly. It's like he's choking on it. He's like.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, but then some sort of magic Colin Farrell does with his hands. He just twirls them around a little bit and throws twirl flow, and it's like straightened paperclip after straightened paperclip, and it's like, what's happening with the hands here?
He's done this before.
Yeah, he's done this before. He's an expert in this. So that was one of my favourite scenes. Was that introduction?
A paperclip could kill you, could it? Because you've only got I understand if you throw a knife at somebody's neck, but a paperclip, it's quite small.
Listen, this guy could kill you with a paperclip.
You might be like, ow, but I don't know if it'll kill you.
What other evil names do they call you, Bullseye? Minor inconvenient pain. Whoa.
Back off.
It's like, have you ever sat on a thumbtack? Could you imagine?
I thought I stood on a thumbtack.
Oh, okay.
I actually stood on a wasp. And it stung the bottom of my foot, and that was really painful.
Yeah, that is.
And that was the first time I've been stung since I was a kid, I think. Okay. And I remember it being painful for about 40 minutes, thinking, when is this going to stop throbbing and being painful?
Never.
And then after that, it was so itchy for about a week. it was so annoying because I was like, this just, and it's the bottom of my foot as well, so it was not even a convenient place. Like,
yeah. And what a painful place for it to happen, because
it was really bad.
you can't, there's nothing you can do. You want to walk anywhere, that's it.
Yeah.
It's just going to constantly be.
It was on the carpet, so I think it was like half dead.
Yeah.
And it was on the carpet, and I came down in the night to go to the loo.
Yeah.
And it was on the carpet, and I stood in it, and I thought it was a thumbtack. And I thought, no, why would there be a thumbtack on the floor? And I had like young kids at the time, so I was like, there's not going to be anything on the floor that's dangerous like that. And then I realised it was this wasp. And really,
at least it was you and not one of the kids. That's, obviously, that's the main thing. Yeah. God.
Yeah.
I remember once at scout camp, the place was just infested with wasps, absolutely infested. And so much so to the fact, right, I was walking along with a can of drink in my hand, okay?
Yeah.
And in between taking a drink and putting my hand down and walking along for a little bit longer, between them taking another drink and going, there's something in my mouth, and spitting it out, and noticing that I'd spat out a wasp, and that horrible moment of, have I been stung in my mouth?
Yeah.
But I hadn't been, thank God.
I got stung in my ear when I was a kid.
Oh, horrible.
Like, not right in my ear, but like this part of the ear.
Oh.
That really hurt.
God. And then I did get stung that trip as well. And because it had walked up my trousers, my shorts leg.
Oh, no.
And I got stung on my inner thigh. And
They do just go for it, don't they? They're horrible little things.
Just the worst, honestly. What are wasps for?
I don't know, they're just...
I know do they eat aphids?
I don't know.
What eats wasps?
I think they're just little bastards.
Yeah, little bastards.
Got any actual use. Not like bees. Bees make honey.
Bees make honey.
Bees are pollinating. They're
bees are
honey.
great.
We need the bees.
Wasps don't pollinate anything.
We don't need wasps. They're just arseholes.
Yeah. I don't know what do wasps add to life.
They don't.
Fear of the colour yellow. That's it. Now I know you said you don't have a good actor.
No, have you?
I kind of have.
Okay.
But I think I am going to say Colin Farrell as Bullseye. I mean, not because he was doing a good job, but because he had very, very few lines in the film.
He did create a character.
And he did something with it. What that something was
we don't know, but
have been pretty awful. But I think by default, just by trying, he gets it.
Yeah.
You know? And that's Colin Farrell in his early 2000s days, you know, so that was bad boy Colin Farrell. But at least he brought something to the film, you know. So I do want to give him that. He had some very, very strange ways about himself. Some very strange kind of mannerisms and behaviours. But he gave it his all.
Oh, I've got another little note I've got some wild cards in here because we didn't have much for our main categories.
I'll go on.
So I've got one for stunts. Daredevil kicks Colin Farrell, so what's his name, Bullseye, off the motorbike in a backflip.
Oh, yes.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, because I made you rewind it and watch that.
Yeah.
That was...
So that was a cool little stunt that was in there that I think was worth a mention. I know we didn't have stunts, but we have to sometimes just change the categories because we don't have anything suitable.
No, I know. I do have a good line.
Yeah, I've got a good line. What's your good line?
Oh, I've got a couple of good lines, actually. So the guy at the beginning of the film who gets cut in half by the train.
Yeah.
When Ben Urich comes along, the reporter comes along, and he's like, Jose Cansada. And then the cut off part of Jose Cansada gets wheeled past him and goes, the rest of Jose Cansada. That did make me chuckle. And there was another one with Bullseye later where it's during the fight with Elektra, and Elektra's throwing the size at him or whatever, and he's like, you're good, baby, I'll give you that, but me, I'm magic. And then proceeds to catch and throw it back. It's very good. He did make me chuckle. And funnily enough, my other good line is from Bullseye as well. So it's where he's on the plane, right, and coming over to New York, and bearing in mind, okay, he's got headphones in, so he can't hear this woman, this woman beside him is talking incessantly, and this is the old lady that he flicks the peanut, and it lands in her throat, and she chokes on it, and she passes away, and she dies, and her head slumps onto his shoulder, and the air steward comes and goes, "Oh, how sweet," and she says, "Can I get you anything?" And he's like, "Yeah, more peanuts, please." It was just such a stupid line, but I had that. I had
the so I also had the wild card of death.
Oh, okay.
And I had the woman on the plane with the peanut. It was more his face afterwards, the way he was looking at her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I quite liked that. But yeah, I had a couple of good lines.
Go on.
When he meets Jennifer Garner the first time.
Oh, okay.
And she kind of looks over at his lawyer friend and is like, "Is that your friend?" And he says, "I've never seen him before in my life."
Oh.
Bearing in mind he's blind. I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah.
And then good. He also says to his friend, her name's Electra Nachos, and the friend says, "She sounds like a Mexican appetizer." Because we both kind of went, really? Nachos? And then also when they're on their first date and they do they go to like a rooftop or something,
yes,
don't they? Because he wants to show her the view. And she says, "Look at this, it's so beautiful." And I'm like, he's blind. He can't look at this. So that made me laugh as well.
I remember that. Look, it's so beautiful.
You're on a date with a blind guy. You can't say, "Look at this, it's beautiful."
Have you seen that? I think it's a TikTok of a guy going on a literal blind date and meeting the lady and picking her up at her house, and she's blind.
No, I haven't.
And it's so sweet. You think, oh, it's going to go the wrong way.
Yeah.
But actually, the guy takes it in his stride really well. He's like, "Oh, great, yeah, no worries." And you know, I mean, of course, it's no worries.
Yeah.
But it goes on, and then there's this one moment when they're leaving. He's like, he says to her, because you think, oh no, it's going to go bad. But like I say, he's really sweet about it. He's really lovely about it. If I find it, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
But as they are leaving, he's like, "Oh, cool. Do you want to drive?" And it was just perfect timing.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect timing for the jokes of it. It was great. But yeah. But he does then say, "Yeah, I used to come up here all the time as a kid. This is why I wanted to show it to you."
Says,
but yeah,
look at,
like, it's so beautiful.
Look at this. It's
I miss it.
He can't look at it though, can he?
But yes, it just doesn't have a lot of other good stuff going on, does it?
No. I quite liked the way as well. Going back to deaths, I quite like the way that Bullseye throws Daredevil's cane to stab Elektra's dad. I just quite like that. I know he just throws everything, but I just thought to take his cane, the blind man's cane, and like kill her dad with it, because that's why she thinks he did it, isn't it?
It is, yes.
But I just thought, that was quite funny as well. The fact that he's like, I don't know, it's just a good little prop to use to. But yeah, other than that, I don't think I've got anything else. Good about it. I was really clutching at straws to get anything good.
I know, it was so hard.
Really tough going.
So hard to get anything going. Well, I'll tell you what, let's not mess around. Let's just mark it out of 5. Okay. Daredevil.
What are you saying?
I'm not going to be like, pass it on to you and be like, oh, I'm not going to go for it. But I'm going to go for it. This is a movie that gets maybe 1 star.
Yeah.
And it only gets 1 star by a person that throws throwing stars, Bullseye. And it's only because of his performance in it that it makes me go, yeah, you know what? That's as much as it gets.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple of little bits in it. I mean, I remember watching it when it came out because, you know, back then I was into my comic books even more so than I am now, and I'm not particularly into them now. But even then, it was very, very just boring film. And watching it a second time doesn't give you any nostalgia. It doesn't make you go back and go, oh, comic book movies before Iron Man. Oh, this is painful.
Yeah.
It's just painful.
Yeah.
It's just painful.
It's boring. It's too long.
Yeah.
I was going to say exactly the same thing, 1 star.
Yeah.
And I think I can only give it 1 star because of maybe some funny little things. Like there's a good couple of funny little lines.
Yeah.
Like you say, the Bullseye character was something. I mean,
something out of nothing.
If you put him in another movie, you probably would be like, oh, he was shit.
Yeah.
But because the main character in this was so shit, at least Colin Farrell tried to build a character there.
Yes.
And I did quite like some of the little deaths because it was just, they were ridiculous, but I quite liked that. So I think I have to give it a point just because there were a couple of little bits in there. But honestly, I don't think I've had a movie for quite a while where I've written such little notes for.
Yeah.
And you know when I like something because I'm frantically writing
you
loads
are.
of notes.
And it's not even so much that you like it.
Even
if there's at least stuff to talk about, you are frantically.
I'm frantically writing notes, and like I don't want to forget.
Yeah, and it's like I look over and your head's in your phone writing away, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be an episode here. But both of us, we were just
we struggled.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is a movie we talked through. Yeah. As well, there was a lot. Yeah, we chatted through it.
Yeah, we always know we're not enjoying it if we're chatting away the whole way through.
You know. And, I mean, bother having a conversation with you,
I know. Even that's hard work, but that was preferable to watching...
watching Daredevil.
That's saying something.
How are we friends?
When you actually want to talk to me instead of watch it, I know it's bad.
How are we friends?
We're not. We never have been.
And never will be. But yeah, it was a tough watch.
It was difficult.
Yeah. And look, I mean... If you've watched it, dear listener, and you loved it, maybe you loved it. Maybe it holds a special place in your heart.
And also, we went in really hard on Ben Affleck. So if you do actually rate Ben Affleck as an actor and you like him, then please...
We will happily...
We're always happy to hear other people's opinions. This is just our opinion.
Tell us if you disagree. Or tell us if you agree.
Yeah.
Is Ben Affleck just overrated? Is he? Was it literally just Armageddon that got him through the 2000s and kept him as who he is now?
I think he did Good Will Hunting, didn't he? With, Matt Damon.
But it was very much just a side piece in Good Will Hunting.
And he kind of dined out on that for quite a long time, I think. Because they wrote that, didn't they?
Yes, they did, yeah.
So I think he kind of went, oh, I'm amazing. I wrote this movie that was quite successful with... And then Matt Damon
and he did a lot of films.
Quite a lot of success.
He did a lot of films with Kevin Smith, who did Clerks and Dogman, and Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. He did Mallrats. He was in Mallrats. He played a real douchebag of a character in that.
I don't think I've seen that.
Obviously, he was in Dogma.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did a couple of those. And then obviously, he's done things like Argo, which got him an Oscar, didn't it, for Best Director or something? Or not Best Director, but Best Screenplay or something. Or I can't remember, but I know it Best Adapted Screenplay or something.
I'm not sure.
I know either the film won an Oscar or I don't think he won the Oscar for it, but I know
the movie won the Oscar.
I know the movie maybe won the Oscar. But yeah, again, he's done some good stuff. But then it's like, but I've never been wowed by him.
No.
Never been wowed by him. And certainly not in this film.
No.
When we're watching them flying through the sky in leather.
I know.
And it still doesn't wow you.
No.
But yeah. Anyway, look, if you want to come and hear our discussion about the bad bits of Daredevil, however, you can absolutely come and join us over on the Patreon and listen to our
flip side
episodes where we talk about the opposite. So the movie. We'll talk about the movie.
We might actually talk about the movie on that one,
Yeah, but that's the thing as well. When there's nothing to talk about, you got to find something, and we did.
We just
boy, can we? But yes, come and listen to us on the flip side over on the Patreon, where we'll be discussing the bad bits of Daredevil. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye.
Bye.